Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, a brief update as to what's been going on with BTC and what might actually happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button, I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications and all that good stuff. Don't forget to join us at Discord, link is in the description down below. Okay guys, let's get into what's going on here with BTC. So here we have Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is the data source. Now, for the most part, we were talking about the drop to about 19,700. We did actually drop down a fraction lower at 19,520. Now, we can see a good run to the upside after this, and that's been perfectly fine. Now, from this morning's update, what I was talking about was maybe this looking a little bit more like an ending diagonal structure. Obviously, with this move up higher than our original wave 4 high point over this side, it actually means that we are done and we don't have to worry about our wave 5 at this particular point. Now, this structure is a 5-wave structural drop within our 5th wave of a slightly bigger 5-wave drop, okay? So we know that this was a slight overextension, a little bit more than expected because we were originally talking about $20,000, but the second that we saw this drop, we were expecting a tad more, which we've got, and now we can start to see this good progression to the upside. So I'm going to tidy this up a little bit, and then we're going to talk about what's going to happen next here, okay? At least what I would expect to happen next. So with this particular run to the upside, this is pretty much coming on the back of the DXY. If I just bring this up for a second, we can kind of see that the DXY is kind of pulled back down today, and as a result of that pulling back down, we've seen Bitcoin move to the upside. Okay, now usually when the DXY goes down, Bitcoin will go up and assets will go up, and when the DXY kind of moves up, we'll see the correction. So we're looking for the DXY to move up next, and therefore Bitcoin will also come to the downside. We are overbought on our 1-hour chart on the stochastic RSI. We're overbought on the 4-hour stochastic RSI. The 8-hour is almost up at the overbought area as well. So we're looking for a bit of a drop to the downside. Now, the other issue that I have here is we might be inside something else that is going on, where this actually is our wave 4 structure and we have to come back down lower. I'm going to reserve that to see how that goes. I don't want that to be the case, but if it is, then we'll be able to map it accordingly. And it just means that we have to come down a fraction lower for our wave 5. I'm hoping that is not the case, but it's always a possibility, so I'll mention it now just to keep it in the back of everyone's head that it's a possibility. If we do drop down lower than that 19,520, then that's going to be what's going on here. This is our wave 4, and this is not wave 4. This is all wave 3 up to this point of the low down here. That being said, though, this particular move could also turn into a 5-wave structure of its own, which would be interesting to say the least. So if we actually go and start getting some decent momentum behind the price, we could articulate this as 1, 2, this is being 3, 4, then up for 5. And then, of course, we'll be looking for that correction to come back down about 50 to 88% of this entire 5-wave structure, like so, before we can start to move up into another 5-wave structure. And one of the big issues here is that we might end up with a zigzag pattern on a much grander scale. Let me just delete this out to get rid of that for a second. And we are looking for a 3-wave structure, okay, all the way up towards $22,500 to $24,500. Those are the expectations on a slightly bigger scale. Now, with that being said, we could also have this as a 5-wave structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 over here, okay? And basically meaning that we have 5, 3, 5, a zigzag-based pattern or an ABC structure. So that's kind of the expectation here. Now, with that being said, our minimum expectation is exactly the same thing, but in reverse. 5 waves coming down, 3 waves going up, and 5 more waves coming down afterwards. This is going to take us incredibly low to where we were back in June. Potentially even a double bottom scenario. Obviously, we can trend down and we can go significantly lower into new lower lows and all those kind of things, and that will become apparent once we actually start that descent. But we are probably getting ahead of ourselves, as that's a couple of months out in my opinion, and we really need to be focusing in on what's going to happen in the next few weeks as we start to talk about this progression to the upside. If I'm right in thinking that this is going to be a zigzag based pattern, then we are going to see 3 legs up with 2 legs down on each of these waves. We'll have basically 3 motive waves going up into wave A with 2 corrective structures going down. We'll then have a 3 corrective structure moving down into wave B, followed by another 3 motive waves going up and 2 corrective waves coming down within our wave C. Our wave C should marry up with a 1-to-1 ratio with our A wave, and that should get us somewhere between $22,500 and $24,500 for BTC. Overall, I'm thinking that we have a short-term bullish movement on the horizon here for Bitcoin after completing the 5-wave structures down. This is counter to the news articles talking about monthly closures closures, weekly closures, Mt. Gox, Bitcoin, and the general economic climate. Usually when there's fear, I like to buy that fear, and they often say that you should be greedy when people are fearful and fearful when people are greedy. And ultimately, that's kind of how I have seen Bitcoin performing over the last couple of months. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you have found it useful and informative, you know what to do. Don't forget to join us in Discord, and guys, I'll catch you all in the next one.